All right, so this is reviewing Zenryoku's match against Reno. Zenryoko is a new player, but he did surprisingly well, I think. So just to point out some things as I see them, this opening of pulling this block immediately, I think is the worst opening. I think you are better off going to the side like Reno, so pulling the outside, or going to the inside and pulling this block. I think that pulling this block and this block are not good options. The reason for that is because when you pull this, where do you go? You get access to here. Um, but the issue with this is that this is an immovable block. And since this is an immovable block, you will have to, and that you won't be able to spider, you will have to slide, and you either slide, over to here, which this is kind of pointless, or you slide into the middle, which isn't bad, but it is slow, mostly because it's not super great when compared with what the other openings offer, because this you'll see that Reno, the player 1, will be able to get higher a lot quicker than P2 because they have to take so much time to slide, as opposed to pulling here does... Oh, my mouse is acting funky here. Alright, cool. Pulling this block with that gives you enough time for actually is you can cross all the way over and hit P1 if they pull this block, as well as it lets you go here so you can pull this to have the option to spider across, do something there, or spider this way, or just climb up. So pretty much to sum that up is pulling this block or this block are bad ideas. Pulling this block or this block are better ideas. Because you'll see now that blue is able to get up there. But blue would have. There's a little bit of a input kind of delay there where he tried to pull that, but if he wanted to get up, he could have. But this will be good for orange. This pull is obviously misinput. Here's kind of interesting. So when blue pushes this, probably really the best thing that orange can do is actually just stay spidering in here, because blue can't really do anything. Blue has to drop down and then either pull, one of these blocks, or more likely is drop down and pull the thing that they just got and get to here, which doesn't really change too much. But as orange, what you can do is you can, as soon as blue steps down, um, orange can play spider defense and actually already be very annoying against blue sheep. So I think that literally staying still is the best option. The issue that you'll run into on quadrangle is where, because the ice blocks have so much sliding, that when you pull, usually the player who pulls first actually loses the interaction, because if they pull a block like Reno did at first, when they pull the block, the other player will actually piggyback and take that, leapfrog, whatever you want to call it. And so in quadrangle, you actually kind of want to take as little actions as possible until you're ahead. When you're ahead, then that's different. But when you're even with the other person, you want to try to push instead of pull. Um, Other things to be aware of with that would be when you have a shape like this, right? Your first intuition might be, oh, let me pull aside or pull some of these blocks. But the issue with that is you're going to give time, because when you pull, you spider, and it takes so long to get back up. It's going to take... Oh man, my mouse is really gunked up. Um, it's going to be bad to pull these. So actually what might be a very funny thing to do is actually push both of these, because if you push both of them, the outside block, this block, and of course it's symmetrical, so of the same on the other side, but if you push, the outside block falls and gives you your way up. So I would say on quadrangle, try to look for push outs to go up instead of pulls. This is good. Yeah, so Reno drops down. So at this point, orange should really just win the map as soon as it gets to a point like this. Had to be careful there. If Reno would have pushed that, that would have been a pin and a loss, but that's fine. Solid play so far. Normal. Here, this is kind of interesting. So, this kind of shape comes up somewhat frequently where you have the high side and then alternatively, though, a low side on the other. Um, and the key pattern I think to look for is two things. One, what does the staircase up look like? Um, and then also, what does the connection look like? So if there is a bridge from the low side to the high side, you probably actually would want to be on the low side because it's going to take quite a number of moves to solve this left side. And when you're solving this, your opponent's going to come up, which is the other key factors. How easy is it to keep the defense in here? You only have this one block, um, but what would be nice about this, I think, is if orange actually came to here and pulled this one over, because as blue, they can't really do too much if they come up to the to this, right? If this block gets pulled, it is now here. I'll try to demonstrate that. So if orange is here, and they have this block, and this block isn't here anymore, and blue comes up, blue can't. If blue tries to come over and attack orange from down below, they just do two pulls and then they're up. Um, if blue comes to the left and goes here, they have these blocks on this side, so they can't pull this without pushing that first. And when they push, you do two pulls and then you're up. So I actually think that when you get into a situation like this, again, try to aim for the low side. Trying to solve the high side, especially when it's 3 blocks high, normally the opponent's going to be able to catch up. So we'll see how that actually works here. That was kind of weird from Reno. Reno did not need to pull that over, but that's fine. But you'll see that Reno is able to get up very easily. And here's this leapfrog. So here, this is actually a Y reversal. If orange would just hold up, they would get there, and that would actually be kind of good because now you see, because of this V pattern, this left side won't easily connect to the top. So actually, I think that if orange like just goes up and pushes this block or something, just dismantles this left side, this right side becomes very valuable. The other thing to keep in mind is that you could do something like if you just push this block, if you push this block, these guys fall, and there's your way up on the left side. You gotta, you could have a Y reversal ready for something like that, but that's not going to be a major hit in my opinion. This is, yeah, this is the other issue with trying to solve this way is, well, I'm a little bit confused actually. If I look at that, like I don't think that was necessary by Farino to do that, um, because, yeah, he just pulls this, goes to here, and then there's his way up. He did not need to pull, so that was a mistake on blue's part. But that's good for orange. And then this should just be the win. Obviously, the correct solution is just pull, and that's the solve. But orange does something very funny instead and blunders. I mean, even this isn't actually the worst thing in the world, you know. This is push and a pull, and you still win. So it's kind of funny to see orange consistently make all the bad moves, and then yeah, actually just kills themselves. But going into the next game, that's the scary part because actually blue should just win off of that drop kick. Blue gets the drop kick and then can follow and drop and get the half hit on orange. Orange gets the spider on here. Blue pulls this one over. They have a block here and they are overlooking both squares and they just win. It's a checkmate actually. But, you know, they're still playing. Okay. Yeah, so this level gets a little bit annoying. Let's see. Yeah, so you already see that blue is up here, so orange can pull this, and that's probably the fastest way to do it. If you also get caught, you can pull this, and then this will be a too high tower, and then you spider around on this one, and then you pull this way if you needed to reverse the tower for whatever reason. But yeah, you just pull. Pulling that one is a little bit slower. Good recognition to pull here because you won't be able. This pattern is annoying when there's this immovable at the end. So good recognition to go up this side. This I definitely disagree with the idea going over here, mostly because up here is going to be a lot of trouble. Um, you can't walk this way, and so what you'll have to do is you'll have to pull this, and when you pull this, you have one block that you can go to, and so there's not really a lot of room to do anything. Alternatively, though, if you could plan to disrupt blue because you see blue going this way, and what could work is actually going up and then pushing this block, which forces that block to fall as well as this. This whole section falls. If it here, let me clean that up a little bit. If you push this block, this whole section falls, and that makes that a lot more difficult for blue. So I think that actually going here and pushing this is a good solution. Again, I don't know what is up with my mouse. Hmm. But yeah, so I think that I'm surprised though. If I was orange, I think I would have just preferred to go up the left and then pull this and then pull this. And just climb the left side because the left side is actually higher than the right, so the right side will have to cross over at some point. So the speed kind of balances out. Yeah, and then that's just a blunder. Okay, hold up. Underground cemetery. Kind of an interesting to go to the outside. I think that normally in a base underground, I like pulling this block more. Um, just because going to the outside like this, I feel like you don't really gain too much. If what you wanted was to go to the high ground, I think that either you take the center and then you cross up there, or if you want to be aggressive, you cross to your opponent's side. I think that going up and then out seemed a little bit strange. I could see you going out and then in, but it just feels like you get your signals crossed. I don't know. I just don't really like it. Mostly because it gives the other player enough time to come and interact with you, and you don't have a Y reversal as a safety net, as opposed to if you pull the center block and blue comes and they stand on your block. Um, if they're standing here, right, on top of a block that is here, uh, you can spider here, and if you go up here, that's a Y reversal, so it's a safe thing to do. There you just have to be careful. Blue could have pushed this row and then orange drops down to here, which doesn't really impact them too much. You have to be careful about if blue pushes again, but this is fine so far. Blue has an item, so I'm curious if they'll use it now to be offensive or save it. So they're going to use it now to be offensive. I think that probably what orange should have done is probably pull this to set up a defense. Again, you got to kind of have to play two games at once when you're playing Catherine. You have to play how can I get up and how can I stop my opponent getting up. So when you pull this, you get this nice too high blocker. You're spidering on this block, and blue doesn't really have too much to do. So blue will either spider around and try to get around you, to which you could just keep playing spider defense, or they will just disengage and they'll go up this left side, and you just take the time to climb up. So I think that going up here is an invitation for blue to come up and do nasty things. Staying still is interesting. Yeah, you gotta be careful about this because blue can Y reversal. Or no, yeah, Y reversal. No, no, no. Dragon Punch. Yeah, that was just a mistake on Orange's part. Okay, this is interesting. A little bit of a time waste at the start, but back to normal. Just touching blocks. Yeah, pulling this block is interesting from blue because when you pull this block, it doesn't actually give you the solution. You need to get to the side and push it. Um, you need to push this block to still solve, so it's actually a little bit slow. I'm surprised blue just didn't go over here and pull this. Um, I guess what else you could do though is you could pull and then pull that and then pull this. And if you wanted to go a slower and farming route, that is viable. If you're orange, I could see a number of things, especially in this kind of situation. You actually might just want to go up and stand here, and you could bully blue because if you stand here, it just depends on how you want to play. You could fight over this block. Um, Personally, I think that you should go right and then pull this instead. Just have your own climb because you're on even pace with blue. So that's also not a bad idea, is keeping this separated, um, because it gives you all the leverage. But you can see that actually here's your staircase up. So I think that when this happens, you go up here, you pull this, and then you push it to the left, and there's your too high here that blocks that way. It makes it really inconvenient for blue to climb. So blue will have to spend some time and cross over. Um, so either orange, you either take advantage and get ahead, or try to prevent blue from crossing over. The way that you could do that is you could stand here, you could push this row, and then pull this and fight over control of this. Um, Blue has to cross like this kind of space. So if you can do that, that's one way to play offensively. Yeah, blue's going to drop super low and cross over. So chasing is, I don't like that idea, but I don't think it is a bad one, but I don't like it. It just makes me uncomfortable. It looks like you get a little bit lost here. So I think that part of the issue with orange is that they don't know when to engage and when to disengage. And I think that the proper time to disengage is when your climbing state, your ability to climb, is simpler than your opponent's. And so now you're at a point where it's kind of even. You should probably try to pull this block if you want to be assertive. You could also be less assertive and pull this block. And if blue comes over and tries to be aggressive, you push this, potentially, and try to get the pin or a kill. I'm not sure if there's a block beneath it. Yeah, yeah. So I think that this is fine. When blue gets to here, I could see a number of things. I could actually see start to push this out as soon as blue comes over here and messes with you. So I would say push, 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 and drop this whole side. You will probably not have enough time for that, so you could also push this block over and get up. If they block you again, you push it over and then you cross. So you have a couple options, but I think blue's going to body block you there. Yeah, so blue's going to cross over here. So one solve that is very handy to know is that anytime that there is this V shape, in Go this is called a tiger's mouth, but anyway, anytime that there is this shape, an easy solution for it is you push the base one to the right, and in this case there's also this connecting it on the left. So if you push this to the right and then push this out on the left, this block and this block, well actually several of these blocks become in free fall. So if you push and push, these all become in free fall, and this block is hanging now out here. And so this drops one and it actually gives you the way up. This block comes into this space. So anyway, again, when you see this kind of V shape, uh, pushing the base outwards is an easy solution, and that comes up actually on quadrangle as well. But so that's one way to handle this section if you wanted to stay over here and not fight blue. You also have an item. I think that orange could come and cross over and try to contest blue, but blue has a pretty easy setup for spider defense as well as their own block. Yeah, blue's just gonna spend the juice. This was kind of interesting to pull that and then push it over when you have the block. I mean, you're burning time that you don't have. Some of the stuff here looks just a little panicky. Yeah, that's a good juice. Yeah, wasted time going left, right, and that was just a unfortunate. So that was the first set there. Going into the second set. Oh, is this not? Oh, I see. I had skipped. Alright, let's view this set. Oops. Okay, this is fine. This is about even. Um, Here, when you saw that blue was spidering, orange could probably be aggressive and take this block. That's probably their opportunity. Otherwise, probably pull the block on their side. Have to be careful of blue's playing spider defense. Yeah, when you cross over too late, you're going to get drop kicked. And then from here, I think blue should just win. This was, you got caught here, probably should just cross all the way over, or if you want, you could attempt to do a push out. If you pull this block and then push this immovable goes down, and then you can attack 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4 supporting blocks, and yeah, so that's one solution. Here, I don't know exactly what, like, the block already gave you the way up, so it just seemed like a superfluous pull. Because whether you go up here or here doesn't matter when blue is up here. Nice solve by blue on the outside. Recently been doing that in quad, and I really like it. Here, what orange has to do is that they have to go up here. So they have to pull and pull and pull, or however you want to do that. Um, there's not a lot of time here. Yeah, it looks like just a flubbed input. Um, Here probably the best way to do this is go over, pull this, and go to here, and then probably pull this outside. Depending on how blue plays it, you could also, I definitely think that pulling this and then going to this level is the right call. Whether you pull this and try to go up the right side, or pull this and try to go up the left side, personal preference. Another thing that you could do is you could push this, and that will drop this heavy block, and then you go back to here, and then you push this, and then you go up wide on the outside. The issue with that is that that's very easy to set up a spider defense for blue. Pulling's okay too. That's fine. Getting caught in the movement, it looks like a little bit. Nice solve by orange. But so this is actually kind of interesting because I don't think I think that blue probably had enough time to, at this point, spider over, push this, cross over, and come to here. But what is going to be the issue with that is that orange might be able to come up and contest that. And in fact, now that I'm looking at it a little bit more, if they were to push this over and connect to this bridge, and they cross over, and then they have to come back up, and then they have to pull this, orange can probably come up and leapfrog and take it. So the contention point here is that there's no solve on the left side, so that you have to cross to the right. So you have to, this section has to have something happen. And blue doesn't have exactly enough time, and so there are the point that you should probably attack is actually this block, because if this block were not here, then this block cannot hang here. So all orange needs to do is get rid of this block, I think. And the way that probably works best would be up here, and there's actually there's this way, but there's also this block in the back. You can push this. What you have to be aware of, though, is that when you push this, if blue is staying here, this actually sets up a a double Anakin. So if you push, blue is here, blue goes down, blue pushes, blue gets the push out on orange, and orange has to hit the link to spider here, or they lose. So that's questionable, but possible. All the same, I think the key is preventing blue from forming this bridge and keeping it. The other possibility would be, instead of attacking this point, attacking this point, and you could do that by spidering behind to here, and then threatening to push and push. So you push, and then you pull, and then you push. And that is going to just chip away at this space that blue needs to connect this over. The issue that I don't really like about that, though, is that it kind of gives blue a lot of time to play defense against you if you cross all the way over to the left. And it also reverses the position, because that gives blue the freedom now to control crossing over to the right, which the right is the end solve. Um, so this part just becomes tough. Blue kind of plays nice. Blue could definitely just get a drop kick on a new player. Um, they could they could be much more aggressive here. But this is kind of an interesting exercise just to see how orange tackles it. Yeah, you don't want to. That's right. So now, actually, it's still the same thing. You actually just want to pull this. Um, and actually, this is going to be kind of funny, because I think that orange should technically win this. You pull, this falls, blue crosses over, blue pulls this, orange comes up and they pull this block. And I think that they have enough time to do that. Let me see. Actually, instead of pull, you probably want to push this block, huh? Yeah, you probably just want to push this. Yeah, you're not going to get by this spider defense. When another player sets up spider defense like that, what you should identify is what choke point that they have control over, which is this section, and how do you break that up. And usually the way that you break up spider defense is that you shake the block that they are on. And so this block is only connected to this block. So if you want to stop this spider defense, you have to interact with this block. The other thing that you could do is that if they are playing spider defense and you notice that, hey, they actually don't have an easy way up, that you can attack the structure more directly. So this case would not be a good example, but like you could go down here and start attacking this. The issue is that if this block falls, it makes it very easy for blue to pull this, and then they win. So you probably do not want to do that, but all the same, yeah, this block is still key. Pulling there is not, well, I mean, blue doesn't do anything. You can pull this block and actually come on the outside maybe and get a drop kick. Might be feasible. Yeah, so when they push this actually works out, because you see that this happens. So blue's going to pull this. Orange could come up here and pull this block over. And if they pull this and then pull this, I think that they win. The only thing to be careful of is that when you pull this, blue will be able to drop down onto here, but I don't think that they can get here because they can't spider around. So I think that this should actually be orange's win. But yeah, going on the outside like that's not going to work. Synchronized climbing. This is fine. Yeah, this is where like something like this is going to happen, and it just is unfortunate. You know, as orange, what do you do here? Um, I don't know. Oh, blue doesn't continue the fight, but yeah, you see that um, what blue's going to do is take advantage of this shape, and they're going to push this out, and they're going to make these two drop, and it will give the way up on the outside. This side cannot do the same because this is an immovable block. So probably what orange should do, yeah, and they're doing it, is climb up this way, and blue's going to play a fine game that way. Blue could also maybe come over here and play spider defense. Depends on how aggressive they're feeling. They're going to come over and play spider defense. So as orange, I would say you actually have a couple different options. Um, I would actually say you want to push this because that lowers this, and then you want to pull this. And then you want to spider around, and then you want to pull this that way. Um, I think that works out decent enough. But yeah, so when they have, you know, this huge real estate, you kind of want to break that up. Yeah, the issue is that, you know, while this block is here, you can't spider around, so you only have these two blocks to work with. The other thing that you could do, you know, is drop down and then spider over here. That works. But the issue is that it doesn't fundamentally stop this spider defense. Um, so good luck. Yeah, just gonna get drop kick and then blue climb up. That works. Nice solve. Good job from blue. You see how blue, like, when they get up, they are not just playing the game for, like, oh, what is my way up? They also notice, like, oh, how can I stop orange? If every action that you make, you also make your opponent take, then you'll always be equal. Um, so, you know, if you're ahead and your interaction is neutral, that's good. If you're ahead and your interaction is -1, that's not good. And this is fine play. Just got it looks like, you know, orange just gets caught a little bit in the movement here, which that's fine. Yeah, and then I think at this point there's nothing really that you can do. Um, yeah, the issue is if you trace down the stack, you know, this shape is held up by this block, which is held up by this block, which is held up here and here. And so there's just not enough time to do anything. So even at this point in the game is just over. But that wasn't a bad idea to go up and push that. Underground cemetery. Okay. I don't think I missed too much in the opening. So here what you had to be, you know, with I like separating the opening at the start because you kind of play your own game. With this block here, you can cross over and interact with the other person. Again, notice that, whoops. Notice that this is the high side and this is the low side. So over here is actually going to be a fairly desirable spot early on because it will be pretty easy for there to be a connection to the top side. So, you know, something that blue could have done is cross over here and use their item actually to block orange probably. And that would have been pretty tough to deal with, I think. But here's orange. I think you should just try to climb on your side because it's about even, or blue will burn their item to keep it um, even. Yeah. So, but you could see it's about even still. Ah, yeah, that's unfortunate. I think you have to pull that. You'll never be able to push. But also, just in general, before you commit to any fighting in the middle, just be aware that middle is usually where there's nothing, is usually the thinnest part of the stage, most fragile. So only contest the middle if you're really certain that you're gonna get the win, because usually you'll just get drop kicked and die if you lose, and just the risk reward isn't there. That was an interesting idea, but the execution wasn't quite right. So um, blue pushes this down, which is interesting because of this gap. Because of this gap, if there wasn't a block here, it creates this kind of well that is hard to deal with. So actually, what would be a really nice thing to do is to push this row and then pull just this one block, and that will create a well here that isn't super easy to cross. Um, you can fight over it. Blue can push that block back if they want. Um, but, you know, it gives you something to fight over. There's also this V shape again, so blue will always have the option, even if, you know, this block is here and here, they would be able to push this and then get up and still climb, as opposed to orange still has some difficulty getting up on this side. They have to pull these two, or you know, pull this one and pull this one and pull again. But yeah, this interaction can be interesting because of this, because of that gap spot. That's kind of interesting, right? Because now blue, if blue drops, orange gets a drop kick, potential for a dragon punch, and that wouldn't be super great. Um, but you know, you can avoid that. All blue needs to do is pull this, and they have a way up, and orange is actually pretty behind on climb. It takes them quite a bit to get up, so this won't quite work out, or it shouldn't really work out. Yeah, or they push on the outside. Pushing on the outside is kind of interesting. You know, I'm not super huge fan of that because it drops your whole side when really all you wanted to do is drop that one block and keep the height of the rest. Because when you drop the whole side like that, now you're on the same level as your opponent. It is a shame that orange just has this 2x2, and blue it looks like will have a relatively easy way up. So orange is still a little bit behind, not to mention that blue has that block. Okay, this is actually super great. Well, it was super great until orange did that. But if orange goes here and pushes this, you can actually play this in two ways. One is that you just care about yourself and that you make this block fall, you stand here, and then there's your way up. But the other way that you could play that would be you have a nice solid row of blocks here that is sitting on top of blue. And so you can actually keep pushing this row and bullying blue by keeping the roof on them, by keeping them in a box. So it might work. So that would be if you wanted to play offensive, you could do that. Or if you wanted to just play defensive, or maybe not necessarily defensive, if you just wanted to climb, you could just push, push, and then go. When this block falls, you're standing here, and then you go on top. Um, let's see. Oh, yeah, when that happens, this section will be important, and you could actually, because blue is going to make this block fall, if you push this row of two, it moves over to here. This here would block blue and be pretty bad for them. Um, they have an item, so they would have to use it at that point, certainly, to break it. Pulling this block is not good because you don't have the space. A 3 high wall needs a 3 high base if you wanted to solve this way, which you don't really have. The only way that you can do that then is that you push this on the outside, you pull this on the inside, you climb up, then you pull this one, then you spider over, and that's three pulls, and that's really pulls are the slowest, and it's just not good when you're already behind. Yeah, so they're gonna have to do that. That was okay. The push is interesting. Uh, Again, what you could do now, if you wanted to, was you could push this out to the side, stand here, turn around, and throw the block here, and that's your way up. The issue is that climbing on the outside is really risky because you usually only have one way up. It's the same principle in chess, like having your knight on the side. Um, you kind of limit yourself. So, and then this is kind of contradictory because you pulled this block out here, you pushed it, and then now you pulled it back over to here, and it looks like you're going to try to cross in the middle. Um, but I don't know. Usually, if you start with an idea, you should try to finish it, um, especially if what you transition to doesn't work. So here, what I would actually recommend is something that you can kind of forget with X is that you climb two, right? So when you have a situation like this, you can pull this, go here, and then you can climb that too high that you make. You don't need to do another pull, right? You only need to do one pull there. So instead of over here, if you were to pull this and stand on top, you can climb here, over to here, spider, and then you'll have this nice section here so long as blue doesn't set up defense on you. So I actually think that using your X and pulling this block and going up the outside now works. X here won't work because this is 3 high, and so you're gonna get bucked. You're gonna get messed up. Yeah, like you didn't need to do that pull there. So this is interesting by blue. I think it's a little bit. I mean, orange pushes this. I think works. Um, just to start to disrupt some stuff. If you push this, it sets up that maybe you can go to the outside. Um, you push it and then you can pull this, or if blue is really adamant about holding this position, you what are they spidering, right? You come back to the question, okay, what do they have? They have this one block. So if you want to attack the spider defense, you have to attack this block. You don't attack the player, you attack the block. So what does that mean? That means these 3 blocks that it is anchored on need to be attacked. So push in and then you push the row. You can do it that way. You have to be careful of blue trying to come down and get you in a pin. If I think there is a block under there. Let me hit play, I'm sure. No, he doesn't interact with it? Okay, well, that's unfortunate. If there was a block under it, then you interact with it that way. If not, I mean, you have X. I think that probably there was enough time. You can go here and then here. You'll just have to be careful because blue will probably go up here and try to block you. Um, but that was just an idea. If there is a block underneath of this, you can push this and interact with this more. If there is not a block under that, that's actually still okay. Um, and instead what you do is you push this, because when you push this guy falls, and then that gives you access to pushing these, or push pull, however you want to do it. But yeah, the main idea is that when the player is playing defense, you attack the blocks. When the player is vulnerable, you attack the player. I think that wraps up the set. So.